No, Gino and I wanted this game to happen. We were obviously, I wanted to bring a game to Greensboro that would matter a ton to people. Got a lot of fans in this area. And I really want to give a shout out to the people that showed up. A lot of people showed up. You know, we have a men's game tonight. We know it's a Friday at 6, kind of an odd time. Really grateful for the Tar Heel community from all over who showed up for this game. That's what we envisioned, and I'm really proud that it came to fruition. Play with a lot of tenacity, yeah, great, right? We got to get those possessions back. We cannot leave so many possessions where we just didn't make the right decision. I know I got to get a lot of youth in. The clock has started, right? So that's a bummer. Good to have Indya back, obviously. She's a really dynamic athlete who's just gotten better and better, and she'll continue to be a real bright spot for us as she's gotten healthy and ready to roll. Congratulations to Gino. I know he's getting real close to just a really special milestone in our game. And then obviously Paige, what a pleasure it is to continue to see her brilliance. She's a hard matchup, made a lot of contested shots, made a lot of her teammates better. You know, I wish we had played better, quite honestly. But it's game 4, a game that should have happened in December, didn't. A lot of takeaways that we'll continue to pound, get this group better. Who wants to go first? Yeah, Mitch.
Courtney, yeah, in the fourth quarter, you guys start off with a 10-3 run. That was a group you had out there that was Indya and a bunch of new guys and young guys. How did you like the fight that you saw?
Yeah, I thought the fight was pretty consistent. Kind of, I think across the roster, right? The fact that our seniors didn't play well doesn't mean they didn't play hard. There's a difference, right? But quite honestly, they need to be responsible for the way they performed. They didn't perform at the level we need them to perform. They know that. I reminded them of that in case they weren't paying attention to that. But I think the effort across the roster was pretty good. And our young guys, they wouldn't put him in, and I wouldn't have recruited him if I didn't. That's a baseline expectation. So yeah, it's good to see them in this environment where they are at game 4 in their careers. But how hard they play was an expectation. I thought they also, they did well in 2v1. They did well getting into hips and being physical with the ball in their hands. They did well at sliding over to the right spots and zones. They actually did some of the right basketball things. But I thought across the roster, there's no one who I can single out and say didn't play hard enough to help our team.
Was that the difference? Last season, you had a couple of veterans not play well. You didn't have a lot of options, but you got a lot of options this time.
Yeah, I mean, that should be a good equation, right? There's a lot of good experienced players that you can lean on, Indya being one of them, and then inexperienced guys that will continue to gain experience as the season goes on, right? You don't get better in life without a little adversity, but you only either get better or worse. There's no staying the same. So game 4 is where we are right now. We have to be better in game 5, right? And then that's a little bit more experience for our younger guys, and our older guys, they've got to make an adjustment to play better. Not harder, better.
Courtney, I know you said you wanted to play this game in December instead of November, but do you view it as sort of the silver lining positive that you have going out of this game? You still have 30-odd games left.
Oh, for sure.
Build on this. And also going into the Battle for Atlantis, where you'll have more prime competition.
Yeah, and then we've got, right after Battle for Atlantis, we've got Kentucky coming our way. Yeah, so, that's the thing, is that it's a great game to play it whenever you can play it, right? And the ACC expanded. There were some things outside of our control that kind of changed the date. Hats off that they were willing to switch, that UConn was willing to switch the date with us, because we both wanted to keep the game. But yeah, we're not thinking that this is okay, so good, now everything gets easier. It just gets harder, right? But now you've gotten another test to grow from. We have gotten better game to game. We are better this game than we were the last game. We were better the third game than we were the second game, right? And so I just keep imploring, you don't get better, you don't stay the same. And we're just not getting worse. We're just going to keep getting better.
I know you're still testing, but can you talk about your point guard strategy?
Yeah, it's good to have multiple ball handlers. I thought Renaya handled pressure really well, for most of the time. She really trust her there. Grace was, Grace, I'm really high on Grace. I think her speed and her pound for pound strength really helps our program. She was a little lackadaisical today, and when we were kind of riding Renaya, and then Lainey was able to have the ball in her hands a bit. Lainey's got a lot of international experience. I know she's young. It doesn't matter. Her clock has started. So it's nice to have multiple options there. It's a physical game to have to carry the load, which is, again, things we didn't have last year. Multiple guys to kind of carry the ball, which was which was great. You know, India's been out, as you know, so for her to be able to put up 32 minutes and play as hard as she did, I'll give a lot of credit to our sport performance team, because I didn't know how much we'd get from her from a physical standpoint. I thought she did a lot of good things.
Going to Paige, you know, she said she just wanted to come into the season, play more aggressive and play more intensity. Do you notice a difference in her now versus when you got there last year?
No, Paige is good. Paige was really good. Yeah. And what she, you know, obviously Sarah, we were in a fight for that one. The first thing my son said when I hugged him before the game is where's Sarah? I was like, come on, bud. So you know, she's got a great running mate now, but you know, Paige is really special. You know, we've got an opportunity to watch a generational player for a couple more games before she goes on to the pros. But it's just the health of our game. Yeah, she's an exceptional player. She's unselfish, and we focus our defense on her. So I think she doesn't push, she doesn't force. She has teammates she trusts and utilizes them well.
Indya, can you talk about your emotions coming in, starting out very hot and really providing a spark early for your team?
Yeah, I was just super excited to get back to my team, get back playing with them. I know I put in a lot of work in the off season, so I was just excited to show everybody what I've been working on.
A little 100% now?
This college basketball players are never 100%,
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I was good enough to
Almost get a double-double.
but do everything I can for my team at what I needed to do for them. So
What worked well for you tonight?
just being aggressive, getting on the boards like I usually do, and then just playing control. I know a couple possessions I did get a little bit out of control, but just staying mellow in my mindset as well, and just being aggressive like the player I am.
Indya, from your perspective, I know you guys you had to cut it to 9 late before halftime. It was Renee had the 3 to cut it to 12 going into halftime. I guess kind of, you know, in those moments when you guys kind of cut into the lead, from your perspective, what kind of kept you guys from, I guess, cutting into it further as the game went?
No, like Coach said, I feel like we just didn't take advantage of the opportunities we had. We had some mislaps on defense, or we didn't hit the shots that we usually make, and I feel like those possessions they're very valuable in those moments because you really need them to when you're fighting back, especially.
Coach, I've got a question about strategy.
Yeah.
You guys were down, it was 18, and then you switched to zone, kind of a 3-2 flare out. Was that conscious, or was that something that you were going to implement regardless? I just feel like it slowed them down offensively. Yeah,
it did. Yep, we knew we were going to need some multiple kind of secondary coverages per se. So whether that was some trapping in the middle of the floor, whether that was, you know, after the second pass you're in zone, whether that was, you know, some full court stuff. You know, they're just too good of a team and too rhythmed of a team to not disrupt. And then, so our guys did that well. Again, the expectation is that they will defend well, right? That is the expectation, right? It's some of those possessions when we get the O-board and then we force a contested shot. If you get that out and that's a 3, now they're really on the ropes, right? Because now it's a 6-point game. You know, it's those possessions that, you know, that you have to learn from, the getting people on the ropes. So it's hard for me to really think beyond that. But yes, defensively, I thought the adjustments that these guys were able to execute helped us a lot.
Indya, you all had 7 turnovers in the first quarter. You know, what
She
do you
had a
kind of attribute to those miscues early?
I think we were just trying to be aggressive, push the pace, and we just kind of got a little bit out of control. But, you know, we settled down. We knew that we can't keep making those turnovers, and we just got back to it because once it happens, you just have to next play.
It's a bit of a 2-part problem too, right? Some of it's decision making with facilitators, and some of it is the idea of winning the catch. You know, if someone throws it to you, you got to win the catch, right? And so it's a little bit of, I don't know where the turnovers, who ended up getting them, but it's a 2-part problem, and that win the catch I don't think was at an elite level either.
Courtney, what do you see from Sierra? It seems like a confidence boosting game for her.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of seeing from Sierra the same things y'all are seeing, which is every game that she's getting more comfortable, she's more impactful, right? The play call sheet, I'll be quite honest, is very slim when she's in, because you don't want to overload a freshman who's coming back and doing all that. And so, you know, she's got a really bright future. She's competitive. She really wants to learn. She's got a great skill set. So she just gets better and better. And you know, I hope she's better in a month than she is right now.
Coach, going back to that zone, it was Sierra and Layla Hole playing in the fourth quarter. How big were the minutes from Layla down in the post, and then also that 3 on the other end?
Yeah, that was. Layla's learning the zone, so we couldn't sit in it as long. We had to go back to the man when she was in because she's sort of learning that spot. Last year she was a redshirt kid, and so she got to play the top because that's where we didn't have any bodies. So last year as a redshirt, she had to be what we didn't have, right? and now she's playing to help us, so she's kind of learning a different position. So, you know, we needed her to rebound a little bit more from that position. You know, that hasn't come naturally enough to her yet, so we kind of had to shift.
Well, yeah, I would imagine that after 5 years, you don't necessarily worry about Alyssa, but it is 3 straight games under, you know, double digits and things like that. I guess in those situations when you do have a veteran that's going through a slump in that way, what type of things do you communicate to them, and what kind of things do you kind of communicate to Alyssa specifically?
Yeah, I think some of the conversations, a lot of those conversations are what makes coaching special, right? It's like the conversations I have with Indya are between Indya and I, right? The conversations I have with Alyssa are between Alyssa and I. Having said that, I'll put the seniors as a whole. They need to be better, quite frankly, and they need to take responsibility for that they weren't better as a whole, right? So it's easy to single out Alyssa because she's kind of done so much for us and she continues to do so much for us. I wouldn't put, you know, Lexi and Maria and Grace in like the really played great category either. So, you know, yeah, I don't panic about them. They've got a lot of experience, and partly they got to figure it out, right? And part of that is managing your emotions might be a hard thing. And I get that, right? But you got to trust the work you put in and trust your skill set. And she's got more pieces around her now, so she can, we don't need as much from her, but we need better than we got today, for sure.
Coach, you talked about winning the catch. I mean,
yeah,
from,
that would have been great.
Initial takeaways, I mean, is that more of a positioning, a communication thing? It sounds like you were, satisfied.
Just as an example, on that pass, on 2 different times, we threw the ball into Maria, and I don't know what happened, right? But that's a win the catch. If it's in your area and you've asked for the ball, that's a win the catch. I don't know how much more simple to make it. Why it didn't get caught, where it got fumbled, those are not I'm not able to see that yet until I see film. But against a pressure team where the possessions matter, you know, there's a trust element of India's got to make better decisions at times with the ball in her hands. But I think other times, I don't know. I think at least one of those passes, I think that's a win the catch, right? So it's just a 2-part problem.
Coach, what do you carry forward from this game, and what do you want to leave here at the Coliseum?
I mean, I take everything forward, like literally everything, you know. I think back already, I don't know when it was, you guys are better at numbers and details, but the first game of the season, there's a lot I took from that game, right? And then the second game, I took more from that game. And the day that this team doesn't get better, we'll have a real problem, right? They've gotten better in the 4 games we've played, and we have a really good Ball State team next, and we'll be better, right? That's an absolute requirement of this program, that we get better game by game. So we'll take everything, the good, the bad, the fans, the energy, the opportunity, the heartbreak, you know, the love that people showed up for this team, and I'm really grateful for that. I'm humbled by that, right? I'll take the offensive rebound crap shot that we took after that. I'll take the India's great attack finish with her I'm gonna take it all. And I'll watch it, and then I'll watch it again. These guys know, and I'll watch it again. And they'll watch it again. But yeah, you gotta take it all. This is game 4. This season is an absolute marathon. And we will continue to get better into game 5.
Do you know ties the college been like for today? I mean, you talked earlier this week about what he's meant to you in your early career. What's obviously it's an impossible question to answer, but what's just his impact on this game, even as an opponent? Yeah, that's what I told the TV. You were here, so you didn't get to hear it. You know, the thing that I learned from Gino in my time doing my graduate work and interviewing him was one of the most valuable things I had heard as I was trying to figure out if coaching was, what is coaching? And because my parents made sure that it wasn't a vocation, right? So now I'm the most expensively educated coach in the world. But the second part of that is that would I be any good at it, right? And I learned from him that his authenticity is his superpower, right? Gino is Gino. He's like this, whether he's drinking wine, whether he's coaching, and when I'm with him at USA, this is Gino. You guys know that. And it gave me, a young coach who was still figuring out what I was going to do with these expensive degrees, real validation that, like, me being me, I'll be able to figure it out, right? And so I think when he was first winning all his championships, it was just kind of a 2-horse race, and he better take pride. And I told him that he better take pride in that it's no longer a 2-horse race, right? Never does anyone lose the respect that people have for what he's done and what UConn is for our game. But you know, there are a lot of teams that can win a national championship now, and you know, he's been him and Tara have been a huge part of that, because it's made people want to get into coaching. It's made kids want to choose basketball. It's made media want to show up. It's made this the pinnacle of women's sports, in my opinion. And I'm at a school where we win national championships and all the other ones too. But so yeah, he deserves his flowers. and he has lifted others as he's. Sometimes in the women's game, I'll be honest, when it's a guy, it's easy to be like, ugh, right? He lifts others up. He has brought people with him, right? And so you're talking to a Gino fan here.
What did you say also about that 1-2 punch of Gino and Chris Daly being able to do it together for so long? I mean, do you think we'll see that again?
I mean, it's hard to be married that long, right? I mean, it's hard to coach. I'm telling you, I'm not coaching for 40 years. I don't know if that's a secret, but I'm not. That I'm definitely not doing. So I think it's hard enough to find someone who will do one person who's dumb enough to do this for 40 years, and then to find two. So I don't know. I don't know. I think there's people who are, the head coaching role is very different than the assistant coaching role. I give her a lot of, I just love that about her, that she knows where she's really, really good, right? It's not like she hasn't had opportunities to be a head coach, right? It's that they're totally different jobs, actually, at times. And so you have to find a head coach long enough who will do it that long, and then someone who is in her skill set as well. So I don't know. But again.
Back to the game, coach. Paige exploded for 16 in the
first quarter. She sure did.
Yeah, and then you guys limited her to only 7 at the most in the quarters following. Is there anything specifically that you went over in the huddle or just talked to your players about to limit her offense?
Indya moved over to her a little bit. We went over some more coverages. We went into our kind of secondary coverages, zone and things like that. So we crowded the middle of the floor. You do what you can to manage her, quite honestly. And throughout the game, you're making these adjustments. And I don't remember the details of it enough because I still want those few offensive possessions back. And I told you that's all I can think about. But she had 16 in the first quarter. She had 2 in the second. So she had 18 total at half. Still too many, right? And she ended up with 29. So somewhere in the third and fourth, she scored 11. I'll watch them back.
Any other questions for Coach or Indya?
Come on, India's here, guys. She's very articulate.
What did you like about that fourth quarter run where you were out there with, frankly, either new guys or young guys? How did your team respond?
I feel like they responded pretty well. We got in our huddle like after the timeout, and we said we trust in each other, we believe in each other, and I felt like that it showed on the court, and it showed in that run that we went on, and I'm proud of them, but we still have things that we need to work on. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks for showing up.